Hi, I'm Towin, and today I'll be trying to beat Pokemon Emerald using only Pug moves. I've already done this challenge on the previous two generations, so it was only a matter of time before I did it on the next one. Like usual, there's new moves and new Pokemon, with a couple of them being actually decent. But that doesn't translate to the challenge being easy, as I'll have to fight Steven as the final boss. A trainer with Pokemon that are above level 70 and with some that double resist my moves. Hopefully, I won't have to grind as much as I had to for the other versions of this challenge. The rules for the challenge are simple. I can only use Bug type moves, so if I run out of power points for my Bug moves, I lose the fight. No items during battle, however, Hell items are okay. And finally, game mode on set. With that out of the way, let's start the run. I start by using the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Trico, not with Zubat. Yes, the third generation introduced another Pokemon that learns Leech Life right off the bat, that being Nincada. Feels refreshing not starting with Zubat in one of these challenges. In fact, and this is a small spoiler, but I won't use it throughout this whole challenge, because I can actually get a full team of Pokemon for this run with neither of them knowing only Leech Life. The May fight after getting the starter didn't go so well, so I had to get to level 8 before I could defeat her. By doing that, she gives me some Pokeballs, so I go and catch a few team members. First, I get Wurmple, who after evolving into either Beautifly or Dustots, gets the move Silver Wind at level 34. And second, I get Zigzagoon, who at level 25 gets Pin Missile, though I need to remember to not evolve him until then. While I grind, let's talk about strategy for the Rock Gym. Both Zigzagoon and Wurmple are unable to grind due to neither of them having a Pug move. But even if they could, they get their first Pug move at way too high of a level. So my best option is to train Nincada to evolve into Ninjask at level 20 and also get Fury Cutter. I also get Shedinja, but I won't use it for this challenge since I feel like it would make it kind of boring. Also, yes, I know that evolving Nincada turns my 2x weakness to Rock into a 4x weakness, but by not evolving it, I miss on Fury Cutter. So even if I didn't want to, I don't have much of a choice. Okay, first try with Ninjask at level 20, and after Geodude missed a Rock Tomb, it was a complete sweep. I initially thought that it was going to take longer because I misremembered that Rock resisted Bug type attacks, but they don't. So after getting Fury Cutter to max power, it was a pretty straightforward fight. Also, if you're wondering if speed was an issue because of Rock Tomb's side effect of lowering it, Ninjask's ability is Speed Boost and it raises his speed every turn. Next on the list is getting to Dewford Town. I immediately go to Steven to give him the letter and get the experience share. With this, I fight every trainer available so that I can get a head start on Zigzagoon since it's going to take a while before I can use it. Fighting Gym. Yeah, another sweep. Even though most of his Pokemon resist Bug type attacks, I double resist fighting. So it didn't take long before I got Fury Cutter to max power and then one-shot his team. Is this run going to be that easy? Well, next is a rival fight and she now has a Combusken that double resists my moves while having Ember. So I'm probably going to have to train. Nope. With the right luck, I'm able to just barely survive a couple of wing attacks from Wingull and an Ember from Combusken while KOing both. It's surprising how much easier the run gets when you have Fury Cutter at the start of the challenge. Okay, well, I guess next is the Electric Gym. Before that, I continue fighting the trainers and on the way, I managed to get Pin Missile on Zigzagoon and evolve it into Linoone. I also evolved Wurmple into Beautifly, though I had to catch a new one since it was going to evolve into Dustots and I preferred the higher attack from Beautifly. What's some fight? I first send Linoone against Voltorb and while Pin Missile does a bit of damage, his Spark manages to paralyze me. However, I preemptively equipped him with a Cherry Berry to heal him. I attack again and Watson decides to use Self-Destruct, bringing Linoone close to the red. Second is Electrike, and my first Pin Missile didn't do much as he set up a Howl to raise his attack. Next turn, Pin Missile lands 5 times to bring him to the red. However, his Spark does the same. Since I know he's going to heal, I take the chance and switch into Ninjask to start setting up Fury Cutters. And I hit 3 times before he went down. Luckily, I never got paralyzed by static, so I can safely go on to the next Pokemon without worrying about it. Third is the Manectric, and Fury Cutter gets just shy from an OHKO as he uses Thunder Wave. So there goes my berry. Next turn, he goes down. Last on Watson's team is Magneton, and Fury Cutter does half. Unfortunately, he paralyzes me, making my next move have a higher chance of missing. But Ninjask didn't care and lands a Fury Cutter once again, getting me a very close and lucky victory. Before continuing with the story, there's a couple of stuff that I forgot to get before. First is Volbeat. At level 25, he learns Signal Beam, and at 21, Tail Glow. The last one being a move that boosts the special attack of the user by 2 stages. Shame that Pug moves are physical and that the physical special split happens on the next generation. The second thing that I forgot was the move tutor for Fury Cutter. On Verdant Turf Town, a person will teach it to whoever can learn it, but only once. I could teach it to Linoon, but I have someone better in mind. And no, I'm not talking about Heracross, who even though is in the game and had a stellar performance on the Crystal Run, I have no plan of using since I can have a team full of Gen 3 Pokemon and I prefer to not have repeats from the previous challenges. Also, as a funny detail, I could have Rayquaza on my team if I really wanted to since I can teach it Fury Cutter. I'm not going to, but I thought it was worth pointing out. Continuing with the story, my next stop is Route 114, where I can get my next encounter, Zangoose. It learns Fury Cutter at level 13, which would make him useful immediately after getting him. The thing is, I forgot to check if it was available in Emerald, and lo and behold, it's not. Instead, there's a Viper on the route as a version exclusive. I thought that both were in the game, so I spent like half an hour trying to get it before deciding to check Bulbapedia. What a waste of time. Well, with that out of the way, the only thing left to do is to go challenge Maxie on top of Mount Chimney. I start with Beautifly against Mightyena, just to prevent my other team members from getting their attack lowered by Intimidate. And after that, I just use String Shot to wait for him to faint. Next I send Ninjask, and you already know how it's going to go. Mightyena took 4 hits after a Super Potion, Camerupt took 3 hits after a Super Potion in a magnitude for some reason, and Zubat took 2 hits. However, since Ninjask isn't getting one-shots and he's pretty frail, he ended the fight with red HP, which is a bad sign considering that the next gym is a fire type. I tried giving the Flannery fight a shot with Volbeat now knowing Signal Beam, but even after defeating both Numel and Slugma and having Fury Cutter and Ninjask be at max power, Camerupt survived an attack and OHKO'd me with Overheat. Knowing that Torkoal is incredibly bulky on the physical side, this is going to take a while. Second try with Volbeat and Linoon at level 30 and Ninjask at level 34, and it goes basically the same. The only differences were that Volbeat can now survive an overheat from Numel, so at least it can give more chances to Ninjask to set up Fury Cutter, and that Ninjask got Camerupt to the red. But besides that, it was just another reminder that I'm going to spend hours stuck in here. Third try with Volbeat and Ninjask at level 36. I just gave up on leveling Linoon at this point. Pin Missile on him just isn't cutting it anymore. I managed to get to Torkoal this time by making some sacrifices and getting some luck, but just when I thought that I was going to finally win, she pulled another Hyper Potion. That means that it's back to the grind. Fourth try at level 38 on Volbeat and Ninjask. This works well until I reach Camerupt, who survives with a sliver of HP at max power attack and then OHKOs me. Maybe just one more level on Ninjask? Okay, fifth try. Camerupt is a one-shot this time, so last is Torkoal. Fury Cutter looks like it's doing half, and thankfully she misses Overheat. I hit again hoping that it would be enough, but it didn't matter, because the next hit was a crit, defeating Flannery and getting me the 4th patch. Now that I'm done with the fire gym, usually you would go straight to the normal gym. But thanks to getting the goggles, I can go to the desert to get 2 things. The first is Cagnia, who learns Spin Missile at level 21. Seeing Linoon's performance, I don't know if I'll use it that much, but it'll fuel the team and it might help in the later parts of the game. And the second thing is the Claw Fossil, which after reviving it gets me my final team member, Anorith. It gets Fury Cutter at level 43, so I'm just going to teach him the move via the move tutor. He's going to be way slower than Ninjask, but he's going to take hits way better by having less weaknesses and more bulk. Next on the list is the fight against Norman, but with how over level I had to be to beat Flannery, it was a really simple fight. just use Volbeat's Signal Beam to defeat Spinda, Vigoroth, and Linoone. As for Slaking, Volbeat got knocked out, so I sent Ninjask, who thanks to an early crit on Fury Cutter was able to easily defeat him. With the 5th gym out of the way, I can now use Surf, so I backtrack to fight all the trainers that were once blocked. This is so that I can get Anorith to catch up to the others in levels. With the Flying Gym being next, having a Pokemon with stab bug moves be neutral to their attacks is going to be incredibly helpful. So for now, their priority is to get Anorith to evolve into Armaldo. Before getting to the gym though, there's a rival fight. And it was actually pretty close. First was Pelipper, who was really annoying with Protect to interrupt my Fury Cutter and Supersonic to confuse me. Thanks to that, Ninjas couldn't do much and fainted pretty early. I sent Volbeat, and after only 2 Signal Beams, he fainted. Second is Combusken. Volbeat's attacks weren't doing much, and while Combusken only has Peck for super effective damage, she also has Bulk Up to boost both her attack and defense. Thanks to that, I just barely miss on the KO while she defeats Volbeat. I sent Anorith, and just 1 Fury Cutter was enough. Last on her team is Lombre, and she uses Fake Out to interrupt my attack. It doesn't really matter since Lombre is weak to bug moves, which meant that it only took 2 hits to defeat her. After that is the whole Kecleon thing with Steven. I mentioned this because that's when I realized I don't have to challenge the Flying Gym right now. I can just skip it and go to the next city to progress with the story. I'm still going to challenge it just to see how I fare against it, but if I fail, I can just beat the 7th gym and then try again. As expected, I was too weak to win against Winona, and it's not like I can just sweep with Fury Cutter like the other gyms. Swablu has Perish Song to force me to switch, Pelipper has both Protect to interrupt my attack and Supersonic to confuse me, and Skarmory has Sand Attack to lower my accuracy. I'm really glad I realized that I don't have to beat this gym to make more progress. Let's continue with the story like I said, and eventually I'll come back to challenge it again. The second Maxi fight was surprisingly easy. Just send Beautyfly as a lead to take the Intimidate from Mightyena, and then just sweep with the newly evolved Armaldo. Although, to be honest, I mostly won because I got lucky with the boost to my attack from Swagger and not hitting myself in confusion. But to Armaldo's credit, having a high base attack and not being weak to both flying and rock type moves played a big role in being able to sweep Maxi. Because I don't think Ninjask or Volbeat would have been able to do it by themselves. As for the Psychic Gym, it was another easy fight. You might say, well, of course it was easy, Psychic is weak to Bug. And while that's right, the only Pokemon that Tate and Liza have that's weak to Bug is Claydol. The rest of them are neutral, and both Satu and Solrock have super effective moves against me. So if I was a lower level, or if I didn't have Armaldo, I probably would have lost. With that out of the way, I think it's a good time to try the Flying Gym again. Before that though, I give Armaldo a quick glow to try and solve his issues with speed, Volbeat a Shell Bell which I just got to try and get him to recover some HP, and Ninjask the King's Rock so that he can maybe get flinches to prevent opponents from interrupting Fury Cutter or KO him. I'm also going to eventually give Beautyfly a Focus Band to make his chances of surviving somewhat higher. But for now, I'm just going to give him the experience share since he's close to getting Silverwind. I could also technically give everyone the Shell Bell, but I'd rather not give them all the same item. I start with Ninjask against Swablu, and because she used Perish Song almost immediately, I'm forced to switch. But not before getting her to a Sliver. We both switch and go into Armaldo and Tropius, and because she's neutral, it only takes 3 hits to KO her. Next is Pelipper, and of course the first move she uses is Protect. Because I know it's going to be a waste of power points to try, I just switch to Volbeat. However, when he hits the field, she confuses me with Supersonic. So to play it safe, I go back to Armaldo and take almost no damage from Aerial Ace. I decide to go against what I just said of saving power points and just try attacking with Fury Cutter. And to my surprise, I managed to hit 3 before she uses Protect. Because the chain broke and Armaldo's HP is getting low, I switch back into Volbeat and a single attack defeats Pelipper. Swablu was out again, however after healing it only took 2 Signal Beams to knock her out. Fourth on her team is Altaria, and Signal Beam is doing decent damage while Aerial Ace seems to be doing the same. I attack again to get her below half, however she starts setting up Dragon Dances. I didn't think much of it and just got her to the red while she used another one. The problem is I failed to notice that she had another potion. So she's at 2/3 of HP after I attack and at +2 attack and speed. I hit again and get a lucky confusion while she used Dragon Dance once again. Next turn, she finally attacks and Aerial Ace almost KOs me as Signal Beam gets her to a sliver. I send Armaldo, and while she snaps out of confusion and hits an Earthquake to get Armaldo to the red, I hit a weak Fury Cutter to thankfully defeat her. Last on her team is Skarmory, and I completely forgot she had one. Because of her high defense and having a 4x resistance to Bug, Armaldo isn't able to do much damage before fainting. My last option is Ninjask, and I get insanely lucky. Even though she used 2 sand attacks, which, by the way, why is it landing? It's supposed to be a ground type move. I managed to land every single Fury Cutter. I even got 2 flinches from the King's Rock to get her to the red. To make the risk of missing lower, I tried to go for Leech Life. However, it wasn't enough and she brings me close to a third. But as if Ninjask wasn't lucky enough already, my last Leech Life lands and defeats Skarmory. Now if that last attack didn't land, I don't think I would have been in that much trouble, as I still have Linoon and 1 Pin Missile should have done enough damage. But I'm happy of not having to rely on that, because it's not the most accurate move. There's the Archie fight after that, and even though he has a Crobat, compared to Winona, he was nothing. Just use a combination of Ninjask and Armaldo to take out the Crobat, and then everything else was no issue. On the way to Rayquaza, Beautifly reached level 34. That means that it tried to learn Silver Wind. It's 60 base power, however, it only has 5 power points. So I use a PP Mats to increase it to 8. I also use some PP Ups to increase Volbeat's Signal Beam power points to 24. Since they are the strongest moves on my team, not counting Fury Cutter and Max Power of course, I feel that increasing their power points it's going to be for the best for the Elite Four. The last gym is the Water type, and like with Archie, it was no issue. I'm a bit over leveled and it's way too easy to sweep with Fury Cutter when the opponent starts the fight with a Pokemon like Love Disc. I almost got KO'd by Celios Aurora Beam, but even if I did, I think Volbeat would have been able to defeat the rest of Juan's team. Last important fight before the league is Wally. Since he started with Altaria, I was expecting it was going to be a hard fight, but I got a flinch on the first turn thanks to the King's Rock, and alongside the fact that he just kept going for Dragon Dance, I was able to defeat him without ever getting hit. After that, all of the other Pokemon with the exception of Magneton were one-shots. Didn't see myself beating Wally so easily. With that out of the way, all that's left is to challenge the league. However, as you can see, I'm struggling against some trainers on Victory Road. I think getting my team to level 60 should be fine for the Elite Four. But I'm not going to train them all, since like I said previously, both Linoon and Cagnia aren't going to do much even if I overlevel them. So the plan is to at least have Beautifly catch up to the others. Now the question is, where do I train? Victory Road is a no since it's full of Pokemon that resist Bug moves like Hariyama, Lairon, and Golbat. I can't on the sea because there's only Tentacle and Wingull that also resist Bug moves. So that means that my only option is to either grind on low level Pokemon or fight the Elite Four over and over. Probably going to do the latter since the first fight is against a Dark type trainer. But before that, let's look at the team. First is Volbeat, who's holding a Shell Bell with the move Signal Beam and Tail Glow. Beautifly, who's holding a Focus Band with the move Silver Wind and String Shot. Ninjask, who's holding a King's Rock with the move Fury Cutter and Leech Life. Armaldo, who's holding a Quick Claw with the move Fury Cutter. Linoon with the move Pin Missile. And Cagnia with the move Pin Missile as well. Let's see if I can beat the league. First is the Dark Trainer Sydney, and I won't even bother to tell you how it went. I used him to drain my team, so it should be obvious that he wasn't a problem at all. Second is the Ghost Trainer Phoebe. I start with Volbeat against her first Dusclops, and after only landing a single Signal Beam, she goes for Curse. So I'm forced to switch into Ninjask. He doesn't do much damage thanks to Protect, and at one point she heals back to full HP and uses Curse again. So I have to switch once more into Volbeat, who takes a lot of damage from a crit Shadow Punch and ends on the red after finishing off Dusclops number 1. The second Dusclops comes out, and since like I mentioned Volbeat is in critical health, after one Signal Beam he goes down. I send Armaldo, and even though Fury Cutter isn't doing much and Rock Slide is doing close to a 5th, I managed to hit enough of them so that it reaches max power. Thanks to that, I'm able to KO the second Dusclops. Not only that, but I'm also able to completely sweep Phoebe's team. Now, if that fight seemed easy, let me just clarify that it wasn't. It took me many attempts to get the right amount of luck necessary to win. I'm telling you, Dusclops with Protect and Confuse Ray is really annoying. Not to mention the Banette with Will-O-Wisp and the other Dusclops with Rock Slide. Third is the Ice Trainer Glacia. I send Volbeat against the first Celio and Signal Beam does a bit under half while she sets up the hill. I hit again to get her to a Sliver and Body Slam doesn't do much. She heals and I hit once more. I hit again and I get the Confusion. Not only that, but she also hits herself, giving me the chance to KO her. Second is Glalie number 1, and while I was doing pretty good damage to her, she had Icy Wind to lower my speed. So very quickly, I lost the advantage and ended up going down. I set Armaldo nets, and while Ice Beam was doing close to a 5th, I took the chance to start setting up Fury Gutters, so by the time she went down, I had landed 2. However, unexpectedly, third was Walrein. I thought she was going to send Celia or something like that, but no. And because of that, I didn't do much damage before going down to a Surf. Thinking that I already lost, I sent Beautifly, not really expecting much. I land a Silver Wind to get her to half, and somehow I get an Omni Boost, allowing me to survive Walrein's Ice Beam. But because she heals with her berry, I still have doubts on whether I can defeat her or not. I hit Silver Wind again, and it was enough, so Walrein goes down. Next is the second Celio, and Silver Wind left her with just a sliver of HP. But it didn't matter as her Blizzard missed, so after a full restore and 2 Silver Winds, Celio gets KO'd. Last is the second Glalie, and a single attack was enough to end the fight. The final member of the Elite Four is the Dragon Trainer Drake, and while I showed you the footage of how I lost for half an hour, let's look at his team. Every single one of his Pokemon counters my team in one way or another. Shelgon has Rock Tomb for super effective damage and to slow me down, and Protect to interrupt Fury Cutter. Altaria has the Flying typing that resists bug moves, and Aerial Ace for super effective damage. Kingdra has Smokescreen to screw over my accuracy and Surf for super effective damage against Armaldo. Flygon has Flamethrower for super effective damage, and Salamence has the Flying typing to resist bug moves, both Flamethrower and Rock Slide for super effective damage, and Intimidate to reduce the attack of one of my Pokemon. As if that wasn't enough, his whole team is really close to mine in terms of levels. So it looks like it's that time again of beating Sydney over and over again to level up my team. I come back with my team at level 67 and the battle doesn't start that well. It's Volbeat against Shelgon, and not only does he use Protect to annoy me, but Signal Beam leaves him on a Sliver after 2 attacks. He healed after getting on a Sliver, and in the end his Rock Tomb ended up KOing Volbeat because of outspeeding me and a crit. I sent Armaldo, and thanks to being close to fainting, I can start setting up Fury Gutters. Next is Kingdra, and while building up Fury Gutters, he just kept going for Dragon Dances to raise his attack and speed. I thankfully got Quick Claw to activate on the last turn, because taking a Surf would have destroyed Armaldo. Third is the Salamence, and he lowers my attack with Intimidate. However, even with it, Matt's Power Fury Cutter does half to Salamence while his Rock Slide misses. That was really lucky because it's a 90 accuracy move. I land Fury Cutter again, however, because of his parry the previous turn, it leaves him on the red. He uses Rock Slide and it misses again. 90 accuracy, by the way. Now, if you thought that was lucky, throughout this fight, I thought that I naturally outsped Salamence. But no, it was just a Quick Claw that got activated twice. I realized this because Salamence went first in its turn and finally landed a Rock Slide for decent damage while I finished him off. Fourth is Altaria, and he just went for Dragon Dance twice while Fury Cutter was a 2-shot. So last is Flygon, and while Earthquake didn't do much, a final Fury Cutter defeated him. That Salamence fight was nothing short of a miracle. The odds of both Rock Slide missing twice and Quick Claw also activating twice on 2 turns are about 1 in 2500. I got really lucky there, because no way I would have defeated any of his other team members without Armaldo. Finally is the champion Wallace. Now, I tried this battle for a while and it just wasn't happening. So I used some of the rare candies that I've collected to raise all of my main Pokemon's levels by 2. So if you're wondering why their level is different, that's why. The battle starts with Volbeat against Wailord. Signal Beam gets Wailord close to the red after 2 hits, so he always uses a full restore here. I get him back to the red, and this is where I switch to Ninjask. Thankfully, he only hits a weak water spout while I start setting up Fury Gutters, and eventually he goes down. Milotic comes out and I immediately get a crit to get him to half while he lands a Toxic. So now Ninjask is on a timer. He hits his berry to get back to the green, but it wasn't enough to stop my Fury Cutter from defeating him. Third is Tentacruel, and because he resists Pug moves, Fury Cutter wasn't a one-shot. But I get a King's Rock flinch that probably saved me. He heals the next turn, and 2 more attacks knock him out. However, by the time his next Pokemon, Ludicolo, comes out, the poison has brought Ninjask to only 7 HP. So even though I'm also able to knock him out, Ninjask ends up fainting when Whiscash is sent. I send Beautifly, and on the first Silver Wing, I get an Omni Boost. So after taking a bit of damage from Surf, Whiscash gets KO'd. Last is Gyarados, and thanks to Intimidate, the boost to attack gets negated. I still try to do as much damage as possible, but after a single Dragon Dance, he outspeeds me, which allows me to only get him to half before losing Beautifly. I send Volbeat, and he thankfully misses Hyper Beam, while a crit Signal Beam brings him to a sliver of HP. He obviously heals, and Signal Beam does a fifth. For some reason, he then goes for another Dragon Dance, and I get another crit to get him to about a third of HP. Not only that, but it also gets him confused. However, it didn't matter as Hyper Beam still lands and defeats Volbeat. My last Pokemon is Armaldo, and while he has to recharge because of Hyper Beam, I start building up Fury Cutters. My second one crit, and he gets him to a sliver once more. I thought that I was going to win, but he had another full restore. Because I haven't changed enough attacks, they aren't doing much while his Earthquakes are doing a ton of damage. So now I was thinking that I was going to lose. But Fury Cutter did just enough with each hit so that Gyarados got in range of being KO'd, winning the fight against Wallace with a Rock-type Pokemon. That battle was a train of emotions, but the challenge isn't over yet. Because even though I became the champion, there's still one final fight I need to do to consider this run as finished. And that's the fight against Steven. Now, his team is on the high 70s, and even though he's supposed to be a Steel-type specialist, only half of his Pokemon are of that type. In fact, only 2 of his Pokemon resist my moves, those being Skarmory and Aggron. So, I might actually have a chance. But just in case, I'm going to hack some rare candies and raise my team's level to 78, which is the level of Steven's Metagross. I tried like I said at level 78, and it only took me one battle to realize that I was really underestimating Skarmory's defense. I threw my entire team at him and I couldn't even do half. Level 85. The good news is that I now got Skarmory to the red. The bad news is that it took a confusion from Signal Beam and an Omnibus on turn 1 from Beautifly. Not to mention all of my Pokemon. I don't think I was that close to KOing him though, because he still had full restores. Level 90, still no luck. You know what, if it's going that badly, let's just jump straight to level 100. If that doesn't work, I still have a plan B. Okay, level 100. After many attempts, the best one I got was defeating Skarmory with only Beautifly left and on red HP. I then managed to defeat both Claydol and Credilli because they were weak to bug moves, but fell to Armaldo, who survived on a third and hit an aerial ace. That was the best attempt like I mentioned, and with Aggron left, I don't think I would have won even if I got an Omnibus or a crit. There's still one more thing I would like to try before surrendering though. I go to Route 121 and enter the Safari Zone. In here, I can catch Heracross. He won't have Fury Cutter like on the Crystal run, only Mega Horn, but it's still a really useful move. As for the reason why I didn't use him before, well, I already said it, but I wanted to only use Gen 3 Pokemon. However, with how the fight is going, I think I need him for just this one battle. I leveled him up to 100 and gave him a bunch of vitamins to raise his stats before challenging Steven for the last time. Also, as a side note, if you're wondering why there's a blank space on the team, that's because I need a Pokemon to use Waterfall and Surf to get me to Steven. I start with Volbeat against Skarmory and I'll just quickly go over it. I just spam Signal Beam trying to do as much damage as possible while he uses Aerial Ace. He tries to poison me with Toxic once, but he gets healed with a Pecha Berry that I equipped to Volbeat instead of the Shell Bell. In the end, I got him close to half before fainting. Next I send Armaldo and it's the same story as Volbeat. I try to do as much damage as I can with Fury Cutter while he uses Steel Wing. I get lucky with one of his attacks missing and Toxic getting healed by a Pecha Berry that I also equipped to him. This gave me enough turns to force him to use a full restore and get him below half before also losing Armaldo. Third, my team is Beautifly, and on the first turn, I get an Omnibus with Silver Wind. This allows me to take hits better, and thanks to a crit, finally defeat Steven's first Pokemon. After that, Claydol was a one-shot, and Credilli was a one-shot as well. Fourth on Steven's team was Armaldo, and Silverwind only managed to get him to the red. So with one ancient power, he easily defeated Beautifly. What I didn't expect was that he also got an Omni boost. I sent Heracross, who is pre-poisoned, to get the attack boost from Guts, and while he heals with a full restore, Megahorn is thankfully a one-shot in spite of the defense boost. I also recovered a bit of HP thanks to the Shell Bell that was originally on Volbeat. The Ace Metagross comes out and a crit Megahorn OHKOs him, although I can tell you from previous attempts that the crit didn't matter. That means that last is Aggron. Megahorn looks like it does half, but it unfortunately is barely not enough to be a two-shot. And with how many potions he has left, the constant damage from his attacks and the poison, and Megahorn missing once, Heracross ends up fainting. Last on my team is Ninjask. Fury Cutter is barely doing anything, but while building up power, he only managed to land Thunder once. It still did a lot of damage, but it thankfully didn't crit or paralyze me. So after hitting 5 Fury Cutters, I somehow managed to beat Steven using only Bug-type moves. This fight took me a whole day of attempts. You don't know how many times I was close to winning only for Megahorn to miss. Like, it's fine if it missed like one time against one of the one-shots, but it missed constantly and at just the worst times. Thank God I still had Ninjask at the end, because if I failed, I was just ready to quit the challenge. I don't want to do that fight ever again, so let's just move on to the next challenge. For next time, I'm going to do a simpler one, as I'll try to beat Pokemon Heart Gold using only Rock Smash Pokemon. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in some games when you break a rock, there's a chance of a Pokemon is going to appear, and the challenge is going to beat the game using only those Pokemon. I know it's not going to be that hard, but I think I deserve a bit of a break after doing all of those first form runs and the Pog Only Moves challenge. If that sounds interesting to you, then maybe consider subscribing. If you want to see more of my content, you can check my Shiny Professor Oak challenge playlist, that's on screen. Or, if you want to see something more like what you just watched, you can check the challenge runs playlist, that's also on screen. Anyways, that's all I have for now. See ya!